Hello and welcome to MotorZen. My name is Paul Callan and this is our show for this week.
You could try to play it, but you're never gonna beat me.
Toyota will launch its first EV vehicle, the BZ4X, in June of this year onto the Irish market. So they've been slow coming to the full electric vehicle market. We know them having been in the hybrid market longer than anybody. Looks like the car is going to be costing for about €43,500. It's coming with that 10-year battery warranty. So the Toyota are saying that it will be 90%. It'll be a 90% capacity in 10 years, provided you have your yearly check done by your Toyota dealer. What's interesting about this car is it's what they describe now as a dedicated platform. So up until now, some manufacturers have been making cars on internal combustion chassis. This is absolutely 100% designed for electric, and the battery is an integral part of the chassis. So it contributes to the rigidity of the chassis and also producing a lower centre of gravity. So this is now how we're seeing more of the car manufacturers talking about this dedicated platform now, where the battery is built into the whole building of the chassis. We spoke last week about the ship that was out in the Azores, and we spoke that the car salesman in America might be giving the excuse to the customer to say that his car is on fire in the Atlantic Ocean. Well, now his excuse is that his car is at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean because the ship has sunk. So Lamborghinis, Volkswagens, Bentleys, Audis and Porsches, in total almost 4,000, are now sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic. They got the fire out, they tried to tow the ship, and it looks like the ship had broken up and sank. Bosch has bought a company in Germany called ATlatec. They are a company that produces high resolution digital maps. Bosch now have the capacity to cover every single angle in terms of autonomous driving, so they can give their customers, and their customers will be the car manufacturers, they can give them all the bits they need to achieve autonomous driving. They can give them the actuators, the sensors, the software and the maps. This company, ATlatec, has got technology called swarm data, which is allowing them to exactly determine the position of the car on a digital map. So now Bosch is able to give any car manufacturer will come to every single thing they need to make this car drive without a driver. PJ Fallon and Sons, and the son being Joe, Joe's warehouse in Roscommon. Joe's doing his bit for the war in Ukraine, which we're all obviously very much aware of. There's a collection point at Joe's depot in Roscommon, and they're taking donations until the 9th of March, which is Wednesday, and that container is then going to ship on the following day. So anybody around that area that wants to give some help to the people in Ukraine, they can do so by dropping off stuff at Joe's warehouse there in Roscommon. Express Spares. Many of you out there will know Express Spares. Dara McKernan there at Boy. They run an information evening last Thursday the 24th. I was at that evening with this company that they're working with now from France called TC-Matic. And it was an information evening about servicing automatic transmissions and dual clutch transmissions. And it was a really interesting evening, and some of the statistics that Dara produced on the evening was that in 2011 we had out of 100 cars, 10 of them was automatic in 2011. In 2016, out of 100 cars, 30 of them were automatic, and in 2021 it's 49-51, so it's almost 50-50 split now between automatic and manual. Now automatic, we're rolling that up into DSG as well, or dual clutch systems, and it was an interesting evening from the point of view that the company that the boys are working with give you the machine to service the transmission, and they also give you the service kit for that transmission. So there's no disjointedness. That's what I've seen with some people have the machine, they're then going to the factor and the factor's not sure on what they need to service this transmission. So it's a complete package, and then behind the scenes on that, then there's complete technical backup from the people in France, ATlatec. They are transmission builders, and one interesting thing that came out of the evening was one of the guys said, right, hold on a second here, what happens when we service a transmission that then has a problem and that is in warranty? It then goes to the dealer, and the dealer says, you service this transmission, so we're not backing you up with warranty. ATlatec have relationships with all 7 transmission manufacturers, and they say when you hit that problem, you speak to us, because if you service it with our machine to our procedure, you have no issue as far as warranty is concerned. And they deal directly with the transmission manufacturers more so than the car manufacturers. So that was an interesting thing that came out. Another interesting aspect of the evening was the guys were saying, oh look, how's the customer going to be made aware of this? And maybe the guys from Express Clutches, it's their job to make the customer aware. Well, there's 2 things happening now with this area out here that I see in the field. One is that there's problems occurring with transmissions, and they're turning into very, very expensive repairs, and the customer is kind of going, but I didn't know I was supposed to service this. So it's very much on the part of the workshop to inform the customer about this, the servicing that's needed to be done on the transmissions. So it's one of those things that if you were to buy the machine, I think part of your responsibility is to then talk to the customer that's got an automatic or a dual clutch transmission and tell them, look, there's a service schedule on that transmission now, because it's something that a lot of people wouldn't be aware of because they've never had automatics before, and the trade in general is not aware of it. So there's a lot of education for both the trade and for the customers, but the guys at Express Spares are really the people to talk to in that regard. Back in January, we spoke to you about Sony, and we told you that Sony was going to build cars. And when you hear these things, that came from the Consumer Electronics Show in LA. So whenever you hear these things, you think, where are they going to get the skill and the knowledge to build cars, build chassis, build panels, suspension components? You know, Sony, you see, has been an electronics company. Well, Sony and Honda are joining forces, and they say they're going to have a full EV product on the market in 2025. Okay, if you take it, what have you got here? You've got the traditional car building skills of Honda. You've got the people in Sony who've got image sensor technology from smartphones. They've got the PlayStation technology, but you're seeing more and more of these technology companies jumping into the automotive sector, and you've got 2 big strong players from Japan now that have joined forces to produce a technologically advanced electric car that we're hopefully going to see in 2025. One of the things that you hear a lot is, what are we going to do with these electric batteries when the car is finished? Well, Nissan in Japan is working with railway crossings whereby the crossing has to have an electrical backup, and that electrical backup has traditionally been lead acid batteries, and lead acid batteries require yearly maintenance, and they only last for something between 3 and 7 years. So what Nissan are doing now with end of life leafs, they're taking the batteries from an end-of-life leaf and they're installing them on the railroad crossing systems as the backup supply now. They're now in a situation where you're looking at 10 years life, you're looking at the battery capacity still in the area of 60 to 80%, you're looking at a quarter of the charging time compared to a lead acid battery, and they're able to do remote diagnostics on those batteries, so the requirement for someone to go to site to check the batteries is no longer necessary, so the maintenance costs on running those sites becomes a lot less as well. So this is where we're going to see a lot of repurposing, is the word they're using now for these electric batteries. No longer good enough to be used on cars, no longer necessary in cars, but lots of other purposes for them, and I think that's what you're going to see more and more of in the future. Volvo is trialling wireless charging technology in Gothenburg. It's going to run a fleet of taxis, XC40s. When you park the vehicle on the charging pad, which is embedded into the road, the vehicle will charge. They say it will charge with about 40 kilowatt capacity. And when you look at this, you kind of think, where does this fit? And if I drive my car all day, if I want to drive 150 kilometers, what good is in-ground charging? It kind of makes it clear again that there's certain aspects, like it makes a complete sense to do this for taxis, because they are parked up for long periods of time on taxi ranks, so it works really well for them. But if the vehicle was going to be driving all day every day, it doesn't work. So it goes to show that we're going to have all this mixture and combination of different methods of charging and different methods of energy that's going to be used in transport as well. Don't forget, we have Auto Inform now coming up on the 2nd and 3rd of April in the RDS. One of the speakers that's going to be there is James Dillon, and James Dillon is talking about the golden hour, which is about making sure that you accurately ascertain what's involved in this job in that hour and try and quantify it and cost it correctly to the customer. So this is a very important topic in trying to make sure that you're informing the customer correctly, and you're also aware of the amount of work and the depth of work that might be required to fix the job, and getting that communicated correctly and clearly to the customer. So 2nd and 3rd of April in the RDS. If you could, would you please like, comment and subscribe? Thanks for that.